Welcome back and a very good afternoon. You're watching Live Wire with me, Siddharth Thalia. Let's turn our attention now to the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas. The Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza City has been rendered dysfunctional. All the fuel meant to help the hospital in saving lives has now been snatched away by the terror group Hamas. People are being deprived of their basic rights. Hospitals have now turned into virtual terror headquarters. In the aids provided by the United Nations as well, all the aid that's been coming through has been misused by the terror group as well, and civilians have been left to suffer with absolutely no treatment. Babies have been let to completely be deprived of their own right to life. Many children have been reported dead as well. The war has now taken a toll on the innocents who've been made to pay a price. But Israel, on the other hand, is not only dismantling terror, it's also helping the people of Gaza. Upon hearing about the energy crisis at the Al-Shifa hospital, Israeli forces risked their lives to hand deliver 300 liters of fuel to the Al-Shifa hospital for urgent medical purposes. But guess what? Abu Rish, who is the Director General of the Hamas Health Ministry, has rejected this aid while putting the lives of people, including children, in peril. Listen to this conversation.
حتى اللحظه دي في مشكله بس في الشفا طور روح قريبه.
شو السيره؟
يعني ابو الريش ما بدوش الكميه بنحاول نقنع فيه. حتى اللحظه دي في مشكله بس في الشفا طور روح قريبه.
شو السيره؟
يعني ابو الريش ما بدوش الكميه بنحاول نقنع فيه.
Now, the Israeli Defense Forces are doing everything they can to mitigate harm to Gazan civilians and also increase humanitarian aid. And that's what they've claimed in their press conference as well. It's also reiterated that the war against Hamas, the war that's actually ongoing in Gaza is against Hamas and not with the people of Gaza.
October 7th is the day our world stopped. Hamas started a war, brutally butchering, raping and burning over 1,200 civilians, as well as kidnapping hundreds of people. It's been 38 days since. Babies, women, children and the elderly, 239 innocent people, all being held hostage by Hamas in Gaza. Ever since October 7th, the IDF has two goals: eliminating Hamas and bringing back our hostages. The IDF has repeatedly stated, our war is with Hamas, not with the people of Gaza. We're doing everything we can to mitigate harm to civilians and increase humanitarian aid. We've employed tactical pauses in specific areas of northern Gaza in an additional effort to facilitate the safe, temporary evacuation of civilians southward. We've also been encouraging the evacuation of patients treated in hospitals used by Hamas as terrorist bases, including the elimination of Hamas terrorists who was holding 1,000 Gazan civilians hostage in the Rantisi hospital, clearly using them as human shields. A safe passage is open on Al-Wahda Street from Shifa Hospital to allow civilians a safer route from the hospital to the south. Thousands of people have already evacuated the hospital. In the last 24 hours, the IDF has delivered 300 liters of fuel to Shifa Hospital's doorstep. Yet the fuel remains untouched after Hamas threatened hospital staff. These continued efforts all follow our two goals: eliminate Hamas and bringing back our hostages. We will do whatever is necessary so that something like the October 7th massacre never happens again.
Now, the Israeli Defense Forces had also formulated a plan to place the relief aid at the Al-Majlis Al-Tashri junction, which links the Omar Al-Mukhtar and Nasser streets. The Israeli Coordination and Liaison Administration's senior officer was heard telling the senior official at the Shifa hospital that Israeli forces would back off after leaving the aid there.
احنا سنحط الوقود هاي في مفرق المجلس التشريعي. هاي مفرق تاع الشوارع عمر المختار وشارع الناصر.
مع النصر تمام.
راح يحكي معك، راح يقول لك لما حطينا الجالونات هدول وهم موجودين. بعد ما نحط الجالونات القوات تبعتنا راح يبعدوا لورا عشان ما يكونوا القوات تبعتنا جنب المفرق. انت ابعت سيارة اسعاف تحضر الوقود.
Now, in light of the ongoing escalations and the unending strikes by both the parties, the Israeli Defense Forces has repeatedly called for the evacuation of Gazan residents from northern Gaza, especially the Shifa, Rantisi and Nasser hospitals. The east side of the hospital is open on the Al-Wahda Street for safe passage of Gazans who wish to leave that hospital. The IDF is also speaking directly and also regularly with the hospital staff. Now listen into this conversation as an officer in Israel's Coordination and Liaison Administration to Gaza informs the manager of the Al-Shifa hospital with evacuation passages from the hospital.
أي واحد إذا بده يتخرج من المستشفى وللمستشفى شارع الوحدة من الجانب الشرقي تاع المستشفى مفتوح. ما في قوات جيش في كل الجانب الشرقي من المستشفى. القوات تبع جيش الدفاع الإسرائيلي مش موجودين في شارع الوحدة.
هو مش موجودين في شارع الوحدة، بس في الطيران موجود.
لا مش من عندنا. أي واحد بده يتخرج وحور بدون أي مشكلة.
تمام. سيارات الإسعاف مسموح تطلع وتنزل برضه نفس الكلام؟
ما في أي مشكلة من مرة. أي سيارة إسعاف بدها تتخرج من شارع الوحدة ما في أي مشكلة.
تمام. أوكي.
Now, Israel's war against Hamas has entered day 37 now. The battle against terror that started on the 7th of October continues to intensify now with each passing day. The Israeli Defense Forces are currently operating in the heart of Gaza City after having made significant land incursions, pounding every possible terror den. Now, Israel has also refused calls for ceasefire and warned those siding with Hamas. During their operation in northern Gaza, several tunnels and other infrastructure constructed by the terror group have been unearthed by the IDF.
We're continuing with our activities in the north of Gaza primarily. We're discovering tunnels, the shafts that are going into the tunnel system. We're dealing with that. It's a slow process, and we're doing it surely. No, absolutely not. Right now, there is no ceasefire. We are opening up humanitarian windows.
Now, the Israeli army has been continuing its raids on the Al-Shati camp in the northern Gaza Strip, targeting Hamas's infrastructure located in the heart of civilian population, in schools, in universities, and also in mosques. Now, in a latest such instance, an IDF tank is seen firing at terror infrastructure of the Hamas. The Hamas terror infrastructure was deliberately located inside civilian establishments, including in the Al-Quds University and inside the Abu Bakr Mosque as well. Now, the Al-Quds University has been nothing less than a training ground. The IDF managed to uncover an arms cache with many incendiary materials and also inflammable explosives. Now, during the operation, the forces managed to confiscate dozens of weapons, combat equipment, and also operative plans of Hamas, which is a terror outfit. Now, Israeli fighters have managed to eliminate terrorist shooting and targeting Air Force aircraft as well. A fighter jet attacked a munitions warehouse in the building after the 215th Brigade detected the launch of an anti-tank missile from it. So that's one such instance where we've seen an open display of urban warfare on the part of the two fighting forces. Not just that, the IDF also attacked the infrastructure of the terror organization Hezbollah, which is based out of Lebanon. An IDF fighter jet and aircraft attacked a number of Hezbollah targets, including a military compound containing a warehouse of weapons. Meanwhile, the chorus for ceasefire has continued to grow louder. Islamic nations in particular have demanded a complete ceasefire, but the Israeli Prime Minister, Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, does not seem to be too interested in paying any heed to these requests.
בעניין החטופים, ההנחיה שלי ושל הקבינט היא ברורה. לא תהיה הפסקת אש בלי החזרת חטופינו.
أي مستقبل أتحدث عنه وغزة تدمر كل ساعة يموت العشرات. أي مستقبل يريدون أن نتحدث عنه؟ المستقبل الوحيد، وهذا موقف جامع للدول العربية والإسلامية الذي نتحدث عنه، هو وقف لإطلاق نار فورا. هذا كل ما نتحدث عنه.
We need steps towards the ceasefire, because we know that Hamas, it cannot be one-sided. We know that Hamas is still holding hostages, and we know that a ceasefire must be agreed between the parties. But we can also say that Israel should do everything it can to observe international humanitarian law. We have seen a harrowing number of civilians, including children, killed. This has to end. And we are particularly concerned with what is happening with medical facilities.
Il pensiero ogni giorno va alla gravissima situazione in Israele e in Palestina. Sono vicino a tutti coloro che soffrono, palestinesi e israeliani. Li abbraccio in questo momento buio e prego tanto per loro. Le armi si fermino, non porteranno mai la pace e il conflitto non si allarghi. Basta, basta fratelli, basta. A Gaza si soccorrano subito i feriti, si proteggano i civili, si facciano arrivare molti più aiuti umanitari a quella popolazione stremata.
إن المجتمع الدولي لا سيما مجلس الأمن يتحمل مسؤولية مباشرة للعمل الجاد والحازم لتحقيق ما يلي دون إبطاء. أولاً الوقف الفوري والمستدام لإطلاق النار في القطاع بلا قيد أو شرط. ثانياً وقف كافة الممارسات التي تستهدف التهجير القسري للفلسطينيين إلى أي مكان خارج أرضهم.
Birinci önceliğimiz ateşkesin sağlanması ve insani yardımların kesintisiz şekilde ulaştırılmasıdır. Acil olan birkaç saatlik fasıla değil, kalıcı ateşkestir. Birleşmiş Milletler Filistin Özel Raportörü Francesca Albanese, İsrail saldırılarına 4 saat ara verme kararının alaycı ve zalimce olduğunu ifade ediyor. Biz de söz konusu karara aynı şekilde yaklaşıyoruz.
So those are reactions coming from different parts of the world demanding a ceasefire in the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas. We'll slip into a short break right now. We'll come back with a lot more on the other side. Stay tuned.